Hello all my art-loving friends. I am so excited today because I got a hold of something that is very hard to find lately. I was lucky enough to be contacted by a company who asked me to try the Mijello Gouache. This stuff, every time I've looked on Amazon, is unavailable. So when they asked me to try it out and put it on my channel, I'm like, okay, but how are my audience going to be able to buy this? And they said that it does come in and out of stock quite regularly, so just keep an eye on it. And all I can say is hopefully if you like what you see today and you want to get it, that it's available when you want it. And they are supposed to give me a discount code, which I haven't received yet, but maybe by the end of this video we'll have that discount code, and if so, it'll be on the screen. Actually, it might not be on the screen because I might not get it before I leave and render the video, but it will be in the description box below. That code is only good for 30 days, so if you like what you see today and you want to try this out, then don't wait too long because that's only good for 30 days, like I said. Here's the beautiful box, and it was wrapped in plastic, which I took off because of course I had to look at them. Just so pretty. So this is 34 colors of 15 mil tubes. It comes with this brochure with this beautiful picture on the front. It's very well done. This brochure is actually quite fancy. And here are the colors. So this is if you add some white to it, I guess. Interesting. No cracks even when being painted thickly. So that is why everyone is telling you that you can put this gouache in a palette and let it dry out and it won't crack and fall out. They are reusable without being cracked or separated. Comes with this very nice, I don't know what this is, but it's neat. And there they are. Oh, they're so pretty. They are so pretty. So I am not going to swatch all of these for you. If you want to see that, Lindsay did it. I don't think she did it real time, but she has them swatched out. Lindsay being the frugal crafter, she has them swatched out on her channel. Actually, she doesn't have all 34. She only has ones that I think her friend sent her, so maybe not. But I'm sure there's someone out there who has swatched all of these. I am going to work in my kitty coloring book. And speaking of kitties, there's one right there who just knocked stuff off my camera. All right, let me grab the kitty coloring book and we will play with these. And then I kind of want to use my Pentel sketchbook. I can't remember the name of it now, but I'll get it out and show it to you. Because after I play with it in my kitty coloring book, I kind of want to just see what it would be like just to paint on that paper too. Here's my kitty coloring book. Well, this is my original one that I'm turning into a coloring book for you guys. This is the Viva sketchbook paper, and it has been pretty awesome to work in with several different kinds of mediums, especially the markers. That was great. And then I tried a different coloring book of theirs, though, that felt like similar paper, and that worked really well too. So we just have to pick one of these designs to paint with gouache. This one might be a fun one. Ah, they're all fun. Choices. I can only do up to day 31. I have, I don't know, 40 or 50 drawings in here. Oh, that one would be super fun to do. I'd like to do this one because of all the different colors, but I'd have to scan it first because I only scanned up to 31, and I have to scan it for the line art for my other coloring book before I paint it. But I could do that. I think I might. Ooh, that one would be fun. I don't know, so many of these are cute, but these are all the later ones, so, oh, I love that one. That's one of my favorites. Okay, we're getting distracted here because there's just a lot of fun stuff going on in here. Oh, now the cat's playing with the thing that she knocked off the camera. Silly kitty. Okay. Yeah, I think I want to do this one and try the different gouache colors, so I have to do some work before we do that. And then here is that Pentel book. Did I say? Oh yeah, Pentalic. Oh, see, I got it all wrong. Pentalic Aqua Journal. So I've only tried this, wow, just with these crayons, watercolor crayons, and my Paul Rubens precipitating colors. I should make some kind of picture out of that. That would be fun. Reverse coloring, right? Anyway, I forgot this sketchbook was so huge. I don't know how much time I'll have if we can get to that other sketchbook or not, but I sure would like to give these a good try. But we'll start with the coloring book. So I know I told you I wasn't going to swatch, and I didn't with you. That will be saved for my patrons, just in case they wanted to see it. But I decided I had to go ahead and swatch so that when I'm doing my coloring, I can pick the right colors. So there's a bit of a glare, and that glare is kind of important, right? So the ones you guys are seeing a glare on, and if I scoot these up, you can kind of see a glare on those. Those are the ones that have that shine in mass tone. So that's good to know as well. And then on the bottom part here, I just added white to each of the colors, and that gives me a good idea of what the color base is. Like this indigo has a very gray base, for example, and this one here is a very purple base. That's the Mijello blue. So pretty. And the Prussian blue has a very bright blue base, so it's really interesting to see that. Look how shiny that cobalt blue is, and I think that's because it had a lot of binder when I squeezed it out, and some of these just have sheen in mass tone. So I do give my patrons extra videos that you do not see here on YouTube because they are supporting me extra, so I have to give them something extra. So check that out if you might be interested in getting some extra videos, tutorials. I send monthly postcards of my paintings. It's pretty fun. We do live streams and Zoom meetings, so it's just a little bit extra content for everyone. All right, let's get to painting. This is the exciting part. I did scan this guy so I can paint him. And when I was swatching all of these paints, a lot of them just kind of squeezed out a little bit. Luckily, they didn't all explode out, but some squeezed out a little bit of paint. So I decided to take this palette that was sent to me a long time ago by one of you, and you did send it to me to see if one of my students might need it, and so far my students haven't needed it, so I've just kept it, and today I found a good use for it, and that is now going to be my Mijello Gouache palette, because Mijello is a brand that you can have dry out in palettes. Plus, this palette does have the silicone ring around it. This is where I mixed it all with white for that swatch sheet. It's really fun. But anyway, it's too big to use on my desk like this. It's just too much space. So there's so much mixing space here in the middle that we can just put this like this and use it like that, or even over here because I need a little space for my hands since I'm right-handed, or whatever. Put it on this side. Whatever we need to do. It's not too big without the lid on it. It's pretty big still, but not too big. I have my Sarah Burns brushes out. These are from Craftimo, and I love them dearly. So I'm going to use this one for sure for the rainbow. May use the big one for the background and the grass. I don't know yet. One thing I think I will do though is tape around this so that I can protect the other pages. And you kind of have to tape backwards, if you know what I mean. Which is a good use for this thick tape that Meaden sent me. This is the 1-inch version. So what I'll do is I'll put some tape over on this edge of the sketchbook, and I'll show you what I mean in a second about taping the backside or around or backwards. What did I say? I think I said tape backwards, and that's exactly what I meant. So we get the width that we need out, and I'm gonna see if I can take a little sticky off. Yeah, without the lotion on my hands this time, it worked to do that. So I'm putting sticky side up, which is weird, but I want my painting to go clear to the edge, and I don't want to get the pages below painted. I want to keep them pristine and clean. So I will slip this in there, sticky side up, and actually stick it to the back side of this sketchbook page. I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, there we go. Now we can paint to the edges, and everything underneath is still going to be nice and protected. That's the idea anyway. I've done it before. It works. So it may be a little out of order for most people, but I want to paint the umbrella first because it just looks like fun. We have beautiful selection of colors, super easy to see what they're gonna look like out on paper because I did swatching. So we're gonna pick some really bright colors. I'm going to start with orange. I'm going to skip the red in the umbrella. Did I call it an umbrella before? I hope not. I'm going to skip the red in the rainbow because I want to get to violet, and I gotta skip red to do that because I didn't put enough rainbow on my drawing here. This is the vermilion. It is nice and liquidy. It flows beautifully on this paper. This is very smooth paper. It's supposed to be watercolor paper. It's okay if I go over the lines a little bit on this side because I can fix that with the next layer. Actually, the next layer is yellow, and yellows aren't very opaque, so I probably shouldn't go over the lines. Oops. But I can fix that. Watch this. Erasing just like magic. That is too much water. And I'll speed you through the rest of the orange here, and when we get to the yellow, back to real time. And I did change the lighting in my studio a little bit to reduce the glare on the paper, so we're getting natural daylight from the right side, and then just whatever the camera can do with the rest. Now this paint is creamy and dreamy to put on the paper, and this is a nice paper to work on because of its smoothness. It's not catching the paint very much. And I do need to try it on rougher paper, but it's definitely a good go for this nice smooth paper that's in the Viva sketchbooks. And this yellow green here seemed a little bit thinner than some of the other paints, and some of them are thinner and some are thicker. I don't know what the difference is, if they've put more binder in some, less binder in some, I'm not sure. But this one just doesn't spread as evenly, and so probably doing more than one coat is good, or making sure you have that on really thickly to start with might be to your benefit. On this next stripe, I decided to use the cobalt blue, and this is the one where I had some binder separation. I didn't really realize how severe it was when I poured it into the palette, but I should have mixed it up in the tube a little bit more, and then maybe even mixed it up more in the palette, because it just gave a weird consistency the entire way through. So before I squeeze any more of this out and use it again, I will stick a toothpick in the tube and really stir it around, see if I can get it mixed back together, and hopefully it'll behave better for me. This is also one that had a pretty good shine on it at the end. This one here is the dioxazine violet, and I was pretty worried because every time I looked up at the camera view screen, it looked black, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys are not going to be able to see that this is purple, but I can see here in the playback and editing that it does look purple, and it is purple. It's a deep dark purple, and it's quite pretty, very deep though, like I just mentioned. And so if you really want to see the purpleness of it shining through, I would add a little bit of white to it. Next, I decided to paint the sky by just adding some white to the cobalt blue. Had the same brush in my hand, probably should have grabbed a bigger brush, didn't even think about that though. I tend to just use whatever brush is in my hand for pretty much the whole painting. I do end up switching later, but I make a conscious choice to do that. And this is where mixing with gouache and blending with gouache is something that takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of skill, and I don't get it perfect, and I go back and try and fix it, but the gouache is a little bit sticky, and I don't have the greatest luck, and I didn't really want to just repaint the whole sky, which is kind of what you need to do with gouache. I've taught a gouache class before, and it's much easier to just kind of go over the entire thing with a bigger brush and brand new paint, even if it's in the same colors. But I didn't take the time to do that. So it is what it is. It's a pretty color that I got though, and I do like the white added in. It makes it look a little bit cloudy. And next up here is one of the fun parts. I mixed a couple of purples together with a little bit of white, and you can see the coverage I'm getting with this gouache. It is just great. It's such a good feeling too when you're painting with paint that's just buttery, creamy, dreamy. It just makes the painting experience better. And I had a little bit of water in there, but not a whole lot, just enough to make that paint flow. So basically it was the water I had in my brush after cleaning it. For this next part, I just added a little bit of the blue into it because I want these mountains to appear darker as they get closer to the viewer. And this is where I realized, yeah, I really should have done this mountain before the rainbow. I almost called it an umbrella again. Before the rainbow, because I now have to work around that edge, and that vermilion really wanted to reactivate instantly, so it was a challenge to not get it into the mountains. And here I just added even more blue to make this one darker again, and just going to put this in there and work around that darn rainbow and try not to reactivate the vermilion too much. And after this, I wanted to add a little bit of green to the mountains just to bring some life into them, so that's exactly what I did. And I believe I added a little bit of the olive green into them and got the greenish mountain going that is right behind the kitty cat. One thing I feel this set is lacking is a good green, like a sap green. So I mixed this green, but basically in the set you have Viridian, you have the super bright yellow green, and you have the olive green. And that's kind of it. So to get greens that I really like to use, I have to mix them, and that's not a bad thing. But when you have 34 colors, it would be nice to have a convenience green that is more like a foliage green, one that you could just use right out of the tube and plop on there and maybe add a little yellow or a little blue to it to make it lighter and darker in the shadows and the highlights, but just have one that's already good to go. But that's just my preference. So into the mix I already made, I just added some more of the yellow, a little bit of the lemon yellow, and brightened that green up, and then I put in the grassy field behind the cat. Next up, I go to work on the grass field, and in hindsight, I think I should have used a bigger brush, but I was thinking that the variation in brush strokes would be good and it would look like a grassy field with a bunch of different colors in it. But I think that I could have done better, but it's okay. I just wish I would have used a bigger brush. I think that in the end it would have been okay to do that. And I had too much water in my brush to start with, so it kind of made a strange texture for me to work on top of later. So really, I have to be careful with that and working with this gouache. And I do add some more different greens to the grass later to just kind of liven things up. I do love how bright this is. It worked out really nicely just to mix my own green and add a bunch of yellow into it, brighten it up. And boy, yeah, working around that rainbow was interesting. So do the back stuff first with this gouache because it's going to reactivate very quickly. And just because I don't think I've made this clear yet, I wanted to make sure you guys knew that I had so much fun painting this picture with this gouache. It'll be really interesting to see how the painting experience is once the gouache has dried out in this palette. Obviously, I'll be adding fresh back to it once I need to in order to replenish it, but I have quite a bit of paint in there now, and so I imagine it'll take a bit before I have to add any to it. I also really enjoy these Sarah Burns brushes by Craftimo. I've heard that they are available again, so definitely check that out. I can leave a link if I think of it. It's not any kind of affiliate link. It'll just take you to their website, but you can just go to craftimo.com and see if these brushes are available for you. They are great for gouache. And if you see me flipping back into previous pages, I'm just double checking how I painted my cat in previous pages so that I can paint him the same in this page so that hopefully he's a little bit consistent. And what you see me doing here is adding white on top of his feet. His feet got a little bit brown, and then the back of him where the green grass went into his body got a little brown. So I'm going to put some white there and I'm going to let it dry, because sometimes, and you'll notice this with acrylic paint too, you cannot paint a color over color. It just will continue to be transparent and that color underneath will show through unless you cover it with white again, let it dry, and then you can paint the lighter color back over the top and it will work successfully. And here I've turned the studio lights back on so you can see some of the glare on the page, right, where the gouache is just shining and it's mass tone. And what I'm doing here is just putting a little bit of highlights on the rainbow and in the pot that holds the gold, and that's the favorite part. And you can see how I painted over the white again there, and it worked really well for his back end and his feet. And now I'm putting on his cute little stripes. I love the stripes. I'm using the red-brown gouache color for his stripes, and it's absolutely perfect for this cat. Not to mention, I love that color anyway, even in their watercolor brands, so that helps. It's a good alternative to burnt sienna, although there is a regular burnt sienna in this set. I really prefer the red-brown. And you can see here I did try and go back over the sky, but I'm using too small of a brush. I'm doing it wrong. I would be telling my students, you didn't listen to me very well, did you? I wouldn't be that harsh, but you really do have to repaint the entire section, I believe, in my opinion, because it just doesn't work to try and patch it like I'm doing here. And I knew it. I was just in a hurry and I thought, well, if it doesn't look right, it'll just look like clouds, right? No, not really. Not really. Plus, when you hit the edges of the mountains, guess what has to be repainted? The mountains. And when you've mixed colors, you cannot match them, so then you have to go over the entire mountain. But anyway, it's just gouache for you. This experience felt a lot like oil painting, and I love oil painting, so that is a compliment to the gouache. I do have some concerns with some of the shininess, which I will share again in person later here in the video, but for now, you can just watch me finishing up these final details, and then I'll be right with ya. There it is. You can see the shine in the red, or I guess that's vermilion, and the blue, which I think that was the cobalt blue. So you have a mixture of shine and no shine on these paints. So it's probably not something you want to use regularly for scanning. We have a lot of shine in the sky too, actually. Really fun to paint with though, for sure. And I know I said I really wanted to paint in this Pentalic Aqua Journal, but I am leaving on a huge trip. 2 weeks. 2 weeks I'm going to be away from home. And I know if I start that painting, I'm going to rush it. And I don't want to do that. I want to give these paints the time and attention they deserve. And I want to give my painting the time and attention it deserves. So I'll be painting this when I get back using these Mijello Gouache paints. So definitely subscribe if you haven't down below. If you don't want to miss that, you'll have to hit the all notifications bell. It'll just tell you when I put a video out. It is free to subscribe. It just supports my channel, lets people and YouTube know that it's a good channel to support, and I very much appreciate it. So this painting is the one I want to do in the Pentalic Aqua Journal using these paints. Could be fun. Well guys, thank you so much for joining me for this adventure. Got a little kitty painted. He's so cute. I just love him. Another page done in this long overdue kitty coloring book sketchbook. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, guys. I really appreciate your time. I hope you found these paints interesting. And again, they're supposed to give me a discount code, but as of yet, I haven't received that. But the link for the paint is down below, so you can at least go check it out. And when I checked this morning, they were available. They were $120 for the set of 34. So hopefully there is a discount code in the description box below. If I receive that, whenever I receive that discount code, I will add it to the description box of this video. Even if I'm out on my trip, I'll be able to stick that in there for you guys. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully I receive it. If you don't want to wait and risk these going out of stock, then I would just probably purchase them. The discount code would be for 10% off, so it would save you at this point $12. But again, prices change all the time. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Oh my goodness, is it going to be a fun one? I cannot wait. See you there. Bye for now.
No cat.
Jack, where's the kitty?
No cat.
There's Blanca. Where's the kitty, Jack? Get the kitty. Get the kitty.
He's confused.
The kitty's over here. Jack, over there. She does not seem too worried. I think. Now she's worried. What do you think, Duffy? He gives no cares.